I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. All right, public comment will occur during the public comment portion of the meeting and is done via raising your hand remotely or in person. During public comment, once acknowledged, please state your name and ward so that it can be included in the minutes, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment is governed by policy BEDH. Are there any additions or deletions from the agenda?
There is none.
Okay, we are going to change, we're going to make one quick change for everyone here and move 9B, new business, up to before the superintendent update, just FYI, so that our students don't have to be here forever. So, public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? No? Is there any public comment online?
There is no public comment online.
Okay, great. We will close public comment and reopen at the end of the meeting. Student report. Is our student person here? I do not see her. All right, we will wait for that. Correspondence.
There's no correspondence.
Okay, great. All right, that brings us to our consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the minutes from the October 8th meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the October 8th minutes.
Okay, motion by John. Can I get a second? Second by Richard, thank you. Any changes, additions, corrections to the minutes?
All I had was page 2, 8B, second paragraph. We should indicate John Kerber in the second sentence.
Okay. John Kerber, excellent. Any other corrections? No? All right, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous, thank you. And then, do we actually have nominations? Have nominations?
No nominations.
No nominations,
today.
Okay, we'll skip that. All right, that brings us to what is now 9B, discussion and action. Acknowledging the $3,300 donation from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for the Lebanon High School production, The Wet Paint Players of Water for Elephants. And I believe we have some people from the Wet Paint Players here. You can come up to the mic to talk to us about what they're going to use that for.
Hi, I'm Helena. I'm a senior, and I'm one of the co-presidents of the Wet Paint Players.
Hi, I'm Ollie. I'm also a senior. I am a co-president and stage manager of both the Wet Paint Players and the Lebanon Opera House. Basically, what we do at the beginning of every season is we write a grant to the Byrne Foundation, usually for their smallest denomination of $500. This year we had a couple specific asks from the circus company, which we are partnering with for this show. So it was a little bit more than that. We asked for $3,330. And yeah, Helena, if you want to talk about the itemized
We
list.
are working with the Upper Valley Circus Collective, which is run by Meg Tenney, and she is donating her time to us to coach us and so we can learn some basic circus skills. We also have three professional circus artists working with us at workshops that are happening on Sundays. They all go to a school called NECA, which is the New England College for Circus Arts in Brattleboro.
Yeah, so basically it was $900. In our grant, we set aside $900 for 4 two-hour circus workshops at Northern Lights Gymnastics in White River. So that's run by Meg and those 3 circus specialists from Brattleboro. We also have $800 for Jason Schumacher, who is a union rigger who is going to be installing safe rigging in the Lebanon Opera House once we are on site there. So his job is basically to make sure all of our actors and the circus aerialists are safe during production. And then it's an additional $1,600 for those 3 circus specialists to be on site at the Opera House for 5 rehearsals, 3 performances, to ensure that safety is all happening during the show. No one's going to get hurt.
Because we have people in the sky.
Yeah, so they're-
literally in the air.
So they're working alongside me to make sure that both our actors and our circus artists are safe during the show.
And in addition, Northern Lights Gymnastics has also donated their space to us. So we have a larger space with rigging so we can practice all of this amazing circus skills.
Yeah, it's important because we don't have the Opera House to rehearse in until Tech Week. And so right now, all the actors are in the choir room at the high school, and all of the circus performers have been at Northern Lights. And so these 4 like in-person at Northern Lights workshops have been able to get
Bridge
those.
the gap
Yes,
between
exactly.
the actors and the circus artists.
So it's important for the actors to be able to see what is happening with the circus, and the circus artists seeing what's happening with the acting.
Thank you. This is a pretty ambitious, ambitious undertaking, so I'm excited to see. My son is also in it, so I'm excited to see how it's going to go. I don't think he's going up in the air. No.
No, we're not letting any of the theater kids besides me, because I already do circus, in the air.
Right, good.
Because it takes a lot of practice.
Right.
I'd just like to say, I'm a writing and indie filmmaker myself, that you should be very proud of all this pre-production work you've done. You would be surprised how many people who don't understand this, and you prioritizing safety is just going to give you guys a really great time where you get to enjoy the story and all the great stuff. So congratulations already.
Very impressive.
All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, so we don't need a motion, right? Because we're just acknowledging.
Right, we're just acknowledging
Okay.
the donation and thanking the very generous Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation.
Right. As usual, we are very grateful to them. In particular, in this instance, we're grateful for because so much of their donation is going towards safety and towards new skills. So we are excited about that. So thank you to them once again. All right. That brings us back to 8A, which is the superintendent update.
Great. I hope everyone is well. On page 11 in your packet, it is the strategic plan update for October 2025. I don't know if you have all had a chance to review it. So it just highlights our work in our area of growing our students. We've seen steady progress in getting a shared understanding of our vision of learner and graduate skills among our students, staff, and families through ongoing communication and recognition. And Jack Rooney has been doing a great job in terms of sharing things on our website, and our holiday edition of the Lebanon Times will be highlighting students who have been succeeding in those areas. So I'm really excited about that. In terms of growing our educators, we had a very successful professional development day on October 10th. So you'll see all the trainings that happened that day. Really exciting things. And one of the things I really wanted to highlight was a lot of our own teachers provided the professional development to their colleagues, which is really important about leveraging our experts within the district and sharing our knowledge and getting teachers comfortable of highlighting their own work and the great things that are happening with the district. In terms of growing our systems, the board chair and I met with the student council to gather some input and feedback on district policies. We've heard of some great things about the cell phone policy and other things that I'll bring back to the high school for their consideration. As we talked about before, the joint boards between city council and the school board had met. And from that conversation, we are going to move to a monthly meeting starting in November through March. To continue that discussion and talking about budgets and our priorities moving forward in terms of the SAU building and the Dana House. Last meeting, we completed the board goal and action step to examine the elementary schools through equity and enrollment lenses. Last board meeting, we heard a presentation from our adult ed director. Our team is looking at bus driver recruitment and retention. So we're really excited about some of the ideas that are coming up. And I would like to thank Tim Ball and Paula Harthen, who's been working to get data for us and get the message out in terms of recruitment. In terms of growing our family and community partnerships, I've met with Tyler. So the ITE team has begun developing a strategic plan progress webpage so we can share our updates there and get that information out to the public. We're always getting continuous feedback on the website. And then just a reminder, we are going to be doing a school messenger test on October 28th, and this will prepare for communication during inclement weather. So if people are not getting the message, it's going to go out in phone call, text, and email. So if people are listening out there and they don't get the text, please call your school and we will get that updated. So I just want to highlight too, I am actually in a conference with some of our building leaders in Colorado, Longmont, Colorado. It's called the Lifted Ed Conference based on innovation. So we are here with several other districts from around the country. Yesterday, I presented on a panel with 6 other superintendents. And I have to say, it's been really exciting with the building leaders, with the site visits and learning just about the innovation and great things that are going on in public education across the country. They've been taking notes and just grabbing ideas that I think we can bring back to the Lebanon School District, which I'm really excited about. So I anticipate that we will come together and do a presentation to this board. So some of the things that we are learning, they are sort of ahead of us in terms of vouchers and school choice, and they've gave us some ideas and strategies on things to deal with that, and then about just rethinking education and making sure we're moving forward and not staying stagnant at times. So it's been a terrific learning experience for us. So I will be back tomorrow evening and back in the office on Friday. So that concludes my update from the superintendent. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions for Amy? All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Now that will lead us to the business administrator update.
Good evening. In your packet, there's chapter 3, continuing sort of subjects leading up to our budget presentation. Before I start, I would say that board member representative meetings are next week. Hopefully that's on your calendar. Tomorrow I will set up a Google Drive and I'll have the materials for each school in there by the time I go home tomorrow. Just about done. All right, budget process, basic budgeting, tuition, and capital reserve funds. Some of this is just, especially for those of you who are new, sort of orient yourself how we're going to be talking, and then, so if you know this stuff, that's cool. We use fund accounting or modified fund accounting in schools. It's not like your basic checkbook. So when you think about how you run your own finances, it's just a lot different. You don't have 85 account numbers for number one. We have 4 funds we deal with in Lebanon: the general fund, the food service fund, the grants, or it's technically called a special revenue fund or a building fund. They're not, especially the building fund, they're not always used. Depends on if you're not building something, you probably don't use it. When we talk about the budget, we generally talk about the general fund mostly because that's the one that sets your local property taxes. We are trying to have more attention on special revenue funds. Special revenue funds are especially title, IDEA, all that extra money, but the one that affects your tax rate, the one you're talking about during the budget, is the general fund. Food service fund, that's sort of it's not sort of, it's an in and out. Anything that gets done food service related goes through that fund. Building fund. When the final number that's on the warrant will be an estimate of all 4 of those funds together. The voters of Lebanon authorize you, the school board, to vote to use every penny, all the funds, even if it's not locally raised. So final number, it's called a gross appropriation, is an estimate of all those funds together. Next slide. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You don't need to memorize this stuff at all, but I'm going to talk about school budgeting. Function is the major area you're funding. You'll see a list of those in a minute. So that's like regular ed, special ed, et cetera. The object is what you're buying. So if you're buying supplies for regular ed, it has a different number than if you're buying supplies for special ed. And then there's level. So when we run a report or something, we can drill down by elementary, middle, high, district-wide, or by building. All that stuff is important and how it gets reported to the state anyway, but all the account numbers you see all mean something. So that's the point of it. Here's the basic functions you'll be looking at. These come from the state fund accounting book, handbook that was written in 1999. If you're on the board long enough, these are probably drastically going to change, or they're going to change pretty significantly within the next 3 years because the state is looking to overhaul everything. But this is what we work with now.
I'm sorry, can you repeat why
sorry.
it's going to change, or what's
I'm
going
sorry?
to change? You said that's going to change.
Yeah, the state doesn't really, it will affect us in the end, but right now the state has a grant from the federal government of several $1 million to redesign their whole accounting structure and also and standardize it across the state so that that big, huge report you get, that DOE 25, the idea would be everybody's, believe it or not, they all follow this general structure, but it's a little different enough that you can't just send it into the state. So the new codes will be modified pretty significantly, and everybody in the state will use the exact same structure, and then it'll make reporting easier and actually make reporting more accurate too. So I'm kind of excited to see it end up. Again, this has been, since '99, and we spend a lot of time filing reports that it's just frustrating. But for you, like if you're on a board in 3 years, you're going to say, I thought 1,200 was special ed. Why are you saying it's something different? For example, that would be why. That's the only point about that. So revenue. So there's other revenue sources. When we do the budget, we're going to talk about everything we want to spend. Next week, we're going to talk about everything that's proposed to be expended, at least on round one. That will be married in November against how we're going to pay for it. And these other revenue sources are what I'm referring to there. These are things that money that comes into the district that are not your local tax dollar. For the budget for this year, the budget we put together had $14,095,649, and that number will be what will be driving your tax rate that you get this November. Even though we're working on a 26-27 bill, your tax bill will be for 25-26 years. It's weird. That number will probably go up a little bit when the DRA finally calls me to talk about to actually set the tax rate. I think we actually got more special revenue, special ed aid. It used to be called State Education Adequacy Grant. I think that number is going to be higher. So that's good. More than we predict. Obviously, when we do these last year, I try to make a conservative prediction. And if it's better than that, that means your tax rate's lower. So that's good. Correct.
The quick question about state education adequacy grant.
I should have said catastrophic aid. I'm sorry. I need to change that because it's not called catastrophic anymore. It's called special education aid.
Okay,
Sorry.
but is it, you say it's going up, is it going up to what the courts have determined it should be?
So there are two different things. So one, the court determined that they owe us more in adequacy aid. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
The number that actually is going to go up is the catastrophic aid, special ed aid.
Oh.
That's based on a percentage of how much our expenses were last year.
Okay.
And they give you a range every year, and I always budget the lower range, and we got numbers that said it's going to be probably
But
Six figures higher.
But we are anticipating yet another year in which the state does not provide us with the money the court has told us we are owed.
correct.
Okay.
So I will say this.
Just to put a very fine point on it in a public forum.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And the budget is a 2-year budget, and we're entering year number 2 anyways.
Okay.
All right. Tuition information. Now we have nothing up there, but you have it in your packet. So this is just I try to provide some information on how many students are coming from Grantham and Plainfield back to 2017. And the next, after those two slides, then you have the area rates. The area agreement has a pretty specific formula on how rates are determined. It's a blend of the expenditures and proposed budget and ADM. And that's where it is through 2000. And then there's, on the next slide, which is page 21 in your packet, is the tuition information, totals paid per year for Grantham and Plainfield. These are just area schools. I like this slide because it shows that we have about $4.6 million in revenue from the area agreement. That's good. Thank you. Next slide. All right, tuition and information to other schools. We have other schools that come to send to us. These people all pay the non-area rate, which is a little bit higher, like $1,000 higher. So 4 from Heartland, 24 from Cornish, 1 from Croydon. There are 4 parent paid and two from Sharon. Amy asked me to put this in there. I thought we were pretty flat, but actually over the since 2022, we're up 10 students. So that's good. And that's without any school choice conversations. Anybody have any questions about any of that before we do cap reserves? The last slide is cap reserve as of June 30th, but I go further than that because it's not really helpful to stop in June. On June 30th in the building fund, we had $1.5 million and the $400,000 that we finished the year off that we're going to put in. So 1.5 plus 400 is 1.9, but there are 3 projects that the board has approved that we need to take out once they're completed, which is getting close. So after the SAU boiler, the LHS cafe roof, and the HSS room renovation, there'll be $1.4 million in there. The special ed reserve fund had 1.8 on June 30th, but you guys did authorize a $189,000 withdrawal. We've actually gotten the money, but as of June 30th, we hadn't. That's why it says pending. So that brings it down to 1.6. And so at the end of our $250,000 addition, we'll be at 1.9 million. We also have an emergency management fund that was set up years ago. That's for emergency management type equipment. It was set up at $50,000. It's going to $56,000. And then the one.
Does that include defibrillators?
I'll have to read the warrant article, but I think it has when I read it, I was thinking of like door access systems or something like that. 50 grand's not a lot to do with, but maybe I should go. I'll read the warrant. I could go find it.
Cool.
Good question. In the technology fund, we set up, I think 2015 or so, with 200,000 in it to handle any sort of tech emergencies that might happen to come up. At the time, we had some servers kind of crash suddenly. We haven't had to access it. I guess after we had that emergency with the servers, we solved our emergencies, but it's there, so that's good. Next week, or in 2 weeks, we'll do free and reduced meals and special ed. We're already working on those slides. Any of your questions?
Questions for Tim? Go ahead, Ella.
I had a quick question about the previous slide, the capital reserve fund slide. So when you said the SAU boiler project, cafe roof, and the Hanover Street School room renovation are going to be removed from that, is that because it got shifted to somewhere else or because it's complete? I didn't quite understand why it's removed.
And I'll provide minutes too when we do this, but in the past, like the Hanover Street room was probably in the budget and got removed, but the boiler project and the roof were approved by the board right out of the gate to be used out of the cap reserve fund. And we paid that bill, but we need to reimburse our bank accounts basically. So it's just doing it before the project's over is kind of silly. We want to take out exactly what we need. Like the roof of 226,720, it'll probably be a little less than that and some cents. So wait till we get the final total and then we'll do a public hearing.
Okay, that's more clear for me. Thank you.
Any other questions for Tim? Okay, great. Thank you very much. That leaves us back to 9A, discussion and action, suspending board policy DFGA to approve a donation of $11,949.90 for LMS football. And I think we're back over to Tim.
Sure. Before we get going too, I was just looking on, and our DFGA it's still in, it looks like a draft mode. So I'm trying to go back through our minutes when we approved it. We do have the corresponding policy, which I believe is KCD, which is crowdfunding from there. So let's use that. I'm not able to load the minutes on my laptop from here as I'm on the hotspot. It's not coming up quick enough. So if the motion could be to suspend the board policy KCD, which is around crowdfunding to approve the donation Tim, do you want to give a little bit of the background while you're there? And I'll still continue to dig through my minutes. It did go to the policy in April, so.
Sure. The memo that Amy put together does a great job of explaining it. So, in essence, the former athletic director of middle school I think he was trying to do the right thing, but he basically authorized a coach to do a crowdfunding thing about a year ago. Came to me and I said, I mean, after the fact, after it was done, it came to me and said, "Where'd we get this check?" And I found out it was crowdfunding. I'm like, "We don't take crowdfunding." So it kind of languished, unbeknownst to me, for a while. So we've been, since May or so, we've been trying to resolve how to help out the middle school and take in the money that people donated, even though it was crowdfunding. So we talked to Snap Mobile. You can see the company that was used. They indicated that they could cut another check. By that time, the check was quite old, but they needed to cut it to an organization. So we tried to partner with the PTO. PTO really didn't. They came back and said, "Thank you, but we're not going to do it." So I got a list of the actual donors from the Snap Mobile to at least confirm I didn't do like a background check on everybody, but I have a list, and we have it in our packet that they seem to be real people and not some bad organization or something. So this is a workaround. We're asking the board for one time to suspend the policy about crowdfunding. I don't like crowdfunding, but if we don't accept this, if you don't accept this, which is your right, then we're going to cut the check back to Snap Mobile and the donations people made for football. It just won't happen, which is fine. But I think the best way around is to make a one-time exception. There was the best of intentions. People, honestly, the right questions weren't asked at the grassroots level, and the whole thing took place without the administration knowing. And don't think it's right to say to the football team, sorry. So if you're willing to suspend this, we can take this check and distribute it to the football team.
Does anybody have any questions?
Tim, I also have Principal Harkins online here too, who I'm going to allow him to talk here 1 second. Okay. Mr. Harkins, are you there? Let me try one more time here.
Okay.
Looks like he's rejoining. Tom, are you there? Oh, there he is.
I don't know if you can hear me though.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you still? Because I just changed my microphone.
Yep, we can
good?
still hear you. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm here if need be, but I just second everything that Tim said. I was unaware of everything that was supposed to be happening, and then once I became aware and we got the check, then I apologize for being ignorant to how things were supposed to be played out, and I promise I won't do it again.
Jessica, go ahead. We have talked about it a lot. Tim has lots of feelings about crowdfunding. We have talked about the fact that one of the biggest problems is that it's uncontrolled. Like we don't know who's giving what for what. And that's been one of the issues. Is it's hard to track. It's hard to trace who's doing things. And we don't want to inadvertently walk into a situation where we've been receiving donations from a political campaign or a political group or anything like that. So that's one of the reasons. The other reasons, Tim, are?
Well, besides it just being Tim Ball's idea, like I respect our auditors. I've had training from our auditing company and specific guidance from our auditors that there's a lot of pitfalls, as you just mentioned, even something crazy like money laundering. There's a lot of pitfalls with crowdfunding for public institutions, and they said if you're going to do it, there's very strict rules and very specific things you have to do if you're going to do it. We recommend you don't do it if you don't need to. And so I don't see why we want to go down the road of something that could get us in trouble when we don't need to. There's ways around it.
And it's come before the board. We've talked about it. We passed this policy unanimously in the last year and a half. So we've talked about it multiple times. But yeah, those are sort of the. Whoa. the justifications for those things. We're not sure what that static is. We apologize, everyone. We don't know where it's coming from.
I guess the risks do not outweigh, in my eyes, based on the auditor's opinions, the risks do not, they outweigh the reward.
I'm having trouble hearing Jessica.
Yeah, hold on. We're having some audio trouble here.
Okay.
Just 1 second. We're working on fixing it. Feels like some of our mics are not working, so hold on.
So, is this working? This is working. Okay. So I think to try and clarify, in order, so what we are currently in the process of making a booster club policy that has not yet been passed through the board, which will allow us to essentially outsource crowdfunding and any of the legal liabilities and reporting requirements to boosters who we hope will be 501c3 registered, but it will be on them. And we will then therefore be able to accept money from crowdfunding through those other entities, which is essentially what...
Oh, sorry.
Essentially what we are trying to do by suspending this policy tonight to accept this money. So that's kind of where we are right now. There is we know what the money is coming for, and there are more people mad at us for not accepting it than accepting it. So we're going to try it this way and hopefully have to do it through a more structured way in the future.
And one of the things you'll notice in the corrective actions going forward is that once we have tightened the policy has come back through us, because there's two versions of this, right? What is it?
So
KCD.
DFGA is still pending. It's the
Right.
specifically crowdfunding policy that is
And
pending.
KCD is the funding. So
Yeah.
these policies, one of them will come back to us, one of them we've already passed. When it comes back to us and we've established what we're going to do, then we'll be retraining all of the athletic directors, all of the principals, everyone who's doing this, that they'll know the procedure. Part of this was that this was kind of happened without anybody taking a look at what the procedure already was. So that's part of the issue.
Yeah, so right now, from a policy perspective, DFGA crowdfunding has been reviewed by policy committee, but has been tabled until KJ, the booster club policy, is finalized. So both of those can be synchronized before they come before the board. In the meantime, policy we will need to suspend tonight is policy KCD, public gifts/donations, which in a single line does forbid the use of crowdfunding. So we are going to have to basically suspend that prohibition in order to accept this donation.
Can we get a motion before we go forward, just so that we can?
I'm going to make a motion to suspend policy KCD, public gifts/donations, to accept the $11,949.90 donation for the benefit of LMS football. Funds are to be deposited into the district's appropriate student activity or special revenue account and spent solely for LMS football.
Seconded.
Okay, so motion by John, second by Ash. Layla, do you have another question?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. That's appropriate. Okay. All right. Any other questions about this? All right. All those in favor? Okay, great. And we thank
Thank you.
again all of those people who donated to this campaign. And LMS football will benefit from this undoubtedly. All right. That brings us to policies. Back to you, Ash. Can I get?
Yep. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 policies here for first reading. If anybody has any of them that they'd like to pull out for discussion, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just make a motion to move them all to second reading.
Anybody have anything particular they'd like to ask?
Yeah, John.
I have one question, pretty minor, but on JLCGJA,
Yep.
Under AH, require that all school-sponsored sports activities for any of grades 6 through 12 be supervised by a person trained in CPR. I'm wondering if that should be 7 or if that should be K. I don't think we have athletics in 5 and 6.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I
So,
feel like the policy's intent is for even sports generally in PE class.
mhm.
So I'm wondering if that should be K.
I believe that language comes from the NHSBA requiring 6 to 12.
Check the RSA.
I'm pretty sure that's what the RSA
Yeah.
is for 6
Okay.
to 12, but do we want to extend that to K?
Or do we want it to say 5 to 12? Because most of our 5 6s are the same. So
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we amend that to say 5 to 12 then?
and that's middle school and high school, which is what
Yes,
it would be
exactly.
normally. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Then with that one amendment, I move that we move policies listed in 10A 1 through 6 forward for second reading at the next full board meeting.
Okay. Motion by Richard, second by Layla. Any additional observations about these? All right. All those in favor? Okay. Great. Thank you. And then policy, B 10B, reviewed by policy committee.
We reviewed policies DAF, DFA, and DFA-R as we are required to do by those policies annually, and found nothing that needed changing, so we have marked them as reviewed. Do we need a motion for reviewed policies?
Can make a motion.
Yes, we do. So I can
Yes.
have it marked.
I move that we accept policies DAF, DFA, and DFA-R as reviewed.
Okay. Motion by Richard, second by Tia. Any additional observations about that? I do just want to let people know that one of the things that policy committee is doing, which is great, is making a list of those policies that require us to review them annually. So we're going to have that so that we're making sure that those are not slipping through the cracks. There are a few of those. Not too many, but a few.
It's
All right.
important not to lose institutional knowledge
Right.
in a body where people change.
Exactly. All right, so all those in favor of accepting these policies as reviewed? Great, thank you. Okay, we'll reopen public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
If you are online and you would like to speak, please raise your hand so we can acknowledge for public comment. There's no public comment online.
Okay, we'll close public comment again. All right, committee updates. FNF's next meeting is on October 29th at 4 p.m. at the SAU. Policy committee met on October 6th. You just heard what we did. The next meeting is scheduled for November 10th at 8:15 a.m. at the SAU. Education committee's next meeting is October 30th at 11:15 a.m. SAU. Note the time change. PNN met today. The next meeting is scheduled for October 29th at 5 p.m.
Actually,
No?
November 5th at 3.
November 5th at 3. Well, good thing. November 5th at 3 p.m. At the SAU or here?
SAU.
Student Wellness Advisory Committee, next meeting is scheduled for December 4th at 8:30 a.m. at the LHS Library Conference Room. HATCC's next meeting is scheduled for November 12th at 12 p.m. at HACTC. The area committee met last night. Jessica, do you want to tell us anything about that? You don't have to. Okay. No? There was. Amy, did you want to say anything about that?
Sure. So we met with our area partners. We talked about our enrollment numbers from the 3 districts. We also, Tim gave the tuition numbers for them. We also talked a little bit about the school's exploratory start time committee. We do anticipate we'll have participation from Plainfield and Grantham. They had a lot of questions just about impact and I think little concerns, but we're willing to continue with that conversation. We then had a discussion, which I'll bring to the board, regarding homeschool versus EFAs and Grantham's approach to that new legislation that has passed, which we have not received guidance yet from the New Hampshire School Board Association. We also talked about schedule a meeting our board leads and our superintendents from the Upper Valley to discuss open enrollment after the new Pittsfield Supreme Court case. And the purpose of that was really just to get I think a shared understanding of the potentials of open enrollment, the current pending legislation that could come through, and then gather information that we could bring back to the full board, our full boards. And then we also talked about special education costs, that they're increased from all the area schools. So we are charging our special ed directors and our superintendents will get together to talk about potential collaborations in terms of the special education costs, out of district placements and things like that. And then our next meeting is February, hosted right at the middle school.
Great, thank you. All right, the school district and city task force, their next meeting is scheduled for November 20th at 6 p.m. at City Hall. The housing task force.
Yeah, we met on October 20th. We were looking at kind of the preliminary start to discussing the housing chapter of the city strategic plan. And the conversations were around the consultants that were hired through the grant that the city got that conducted the fiscal impact analysis, the housing needs assessment, and the housing market analysis. I cautioned the group that we really need to include Plainfield and Grantham in our enrollment because they are so intertwined with our district. And there were others that kind of emphasized that point. I reached out to Amy about capacity in our schools, and I'm going to pass along those numbers when I get them. And then we discussed Housing Accelerator, which is kind of a federal thing. I think you can Google it if you want to know more. And then talked a little bit about lead. Exciting.
Great, thanks. And is that when your next meeting is, November 17th?
That is our next meeting, I
November
believe.
17th at 8:15 a.m. All right, future agenda items, board member recommendations or questions? I am going to the delegate assembly on Saturday, so I've got all of your authority to act. And our next school board meeting is November 12th at 6:30 p.m. at LMS Cafeteria. Is there any other business? Okay, then I need.
So moved.
All right, motion to adjourn by Ash. Can I get a second? Second by Tia. All those in favor?